23, but I actually got my start teaching through the art shop program at Creative 360, as well as working with Michigan Arts Access, which is an organization that brings art education to special education classrooms or schools that are designed for students with disabilities. So most of the time I'm at Millette Learning Center in Saginaw when I do this. And visual arts is great for everyone, but especially for people with disabilities because it can help improve motor skills, which a lot of them struggle with. And it also helps them build friendships and practice working together and working collaboratively. And it helps them, increase their imagination and problem-solving skills. And it also encourages teamwork and gets them involved in the community through opportunities to show their work in art shows and participate in arts events. And with especially the art shop programs geared towards adults, it's also something that just gets them into the community and out of the house, because once they age out of school, a lot of times there's not as much for them to do, and so this helps fill that gap. And so when I was a kid, it's pretty funny because I talk all day for my job now, but I had a lot of social anxiety and situational mutism, so I get so stressed out sometimes in school. A classmate would ask me a question or something, and I'd just be sitting there and couldn't get the words out. And so for me, art was a great opportunity to express myself visually and help me connect with others. And I found that with teaching too. When I first started teaching, like almost 15 years ago now, I still had a lot of anxiety about it, but because I was talking about a subject I'm excited about, I was able to do it still. And now just through, being in social situations like that over and over again, I don't really deal with that anxiety anymore. So that's helped a lot. And I've found that expressing yourself through visual arts, drawing and painting also helps the students I work with that are nonverbal be able to share what they have going on. A lot of them have iPads and AAC devices to help them communicate, but a lot of times they'll just draw things they want to share in class. Even like if our theme for the day is painting and they just went away for the weekend, they might make a painting about their experiences and what they did. Or when a student recently was excited because he was getting some yard work done at his house and was getting some new trees and bushes planted, and so he did a painting about that and then was able to share, this is what's going on in my life. So that's always kind of interesting. And a really cool project that I did recently as well, a couple of years ago, was in Madison Heights for their ADA anniversary celebration, where I was able to outline a mini mural for everyone to fill in, and the theme was, if the inside of your head was a place, what would it look like? And so they all took their creativity to help fill in this mural, and that was really great because, again, being a collaborative project, people were able to work together, and all different ages and abilities that maybe wouldn't have talked to each other or necessarily ran into each other, because of doing this art together, they're asking each other questions, asking why they painted certain things, what their favorite color is, and it got everyone talking. So art is really important for creating connections. And so something that I do a lot with my students with disabilities is collaborative artwork as well, because you can really play to each individual's strengths. And so for the dragon project, it was fun because some students were just painting with watercolors, whatever abstract designs they wanted. Then when those dried, we'd have someone else use big shaped punches to punch out the scales. Other students were picking out pieces of ribbon they wanted to use for the tail and along the back, and cutting those out and gluing them. And so working collaboratively is a really great way to, again, let everyone play to their strengths and also get people talking and interacting and working together. And that can be hard, because I know as an artist, sometimes you want to do things where you want to do them and don't want to work with other people. So it's just good practice for everyone. And it also allows them to make bigger projects than they markers and stamp and use stencils and just cover them with all different patterns. And then when we put it all together, it made a really impressive piece that we ended up using for a fundraiser. And these are some other collaborative things that we have done as a group, mostly at Art Shop. And we did one to hang in the yoga studio at Creative 360, which was a lot of fun. And again, just pre-cut out pieces that then they were able to stamp and paint on however they wanted. Use a lot of pattern and texture. And there is also a piece that I had for people that finished early, so that it wouldn't just be sitting there bored or playing on their phone. So I pre-outlined just a black outline of the dogs and rainbow patterns, and then everyone could use paint markers again or regular paints to just fill it in whatever colors they wanted. So it's kind of like a big coloring book, and so it was something we did just with our extra time if people finished early. And so something else that I really enjoy doing is upcycling clothing. I enjoy not only drawing and painting, but doing a lot of mixed media art. And so the piece in the middle is something that I've done. And the two pieces on the outside were actually done by students. And so with these pieces, again, we were able to use stencils to trace the different shapes, and we had them paint on fabric. We had some heavy kind of suede-like fabric that the students were able to paint on and then cut out, and then I had them lay out their cut-out pieces wherever they wanted on the clothing, and then I helped them sew it on. So sometimes the sewing part was a little bit tricky, but they were still able to design and place everything, and then I would help them sew it. And so this was something that was a lot of fun, and again, with the use of templates and stencils, really accessible to anyone, even if they didn't have a whole lot of drawing skill. And the one in the middle, actually, the face was a cool design cut out from a t-shirt I had. So again, I love to paint faces, but even someone that maybe was like, oh, I don't want to do that part, or I'm not very good at that yet, need more practice, you can always find cool images already on t-shirts and things like that, and do fabric collage. So that makes it something that anyone can try. So these are some more examples of things I made with the students collaboratively, and in 2021 we actually, with the Art Shop program, ended up having a fashion show, which was a lot of fun, and they got to show off their designs. And these are some more photos from the fashion show, and my friend wearing something that she bought from the fashion show. So that's what's been really fun as well, is helping the students be able to actually sell their work and profit from things that they've made. And that helps build their confidence as well, as someone else actually likes their work enough that they want to purchase it. That's always a big deal. So that's been a lot of fun. Something else I like doing with my students with disabilities is having them learn about other artists that have disabilities or mental health struggles as well. And so these two examples are of Isaiah Zagar, who is a mosaic artist in Philadelphia, and he struggled with pretty severe bipolar disorder, and he actually passed away recently, but the Magic Art in Philadelphia is amazing. It's one of my favorite places, and he designed this whole structure you can walk through that's all mosaic. And so we were able to do our own simple mosaics then, just with beads and fun little odds and ends and glue. And Judith Scott is another artist that has Down syndrome and is also deaf. And she discovered her gift for art very late in life. Actually, her sister became her guardian after their parents passed away and got her involved in an arts program. And she just on her own, I guess, started just grabbing objects and wrapping them in yarn. And people interesting. And so that's something that I've had fun doing too, because again, even if maybe you're not that great at drawing or painting, everyone can assemble cool objects together and wrap them in yarn and beads, and so that's something really fun. And I think all people in general don't always realize how everyone can make some kind of art, and that's what's so exciting about it. And so I love to draw and paint. Drawing is my first love and what I started with, but I do a lot of mixed media art as well. And I do a lot of mixed media with my art students especially, because this allows them, as I mentioned earlier, to play to their strengths and use what materials work best for them depending on their ability and the way they like to work. And so these are some examples of mixed media art that I've done. And the painting with the birds is actually done with a palette knife, and I found that that's something that works really well for students that have more dexterity issues as well. They seem to really take to using the palette knife to spread on the paint instead of a regular brush, and so that's been something that I've explored a lot with them that I like doing on my own as well. And as far as mixed media, because I like to draw in my pieces, the faces are usually drawn with colored pencil, but again, someone that drawing isn't as much their thing could find a cool image from a book or magazine and cut it out for the face and still do a similar style of art. And so that's how I've adapted the kind of art that I like to do to make it something that everyone can explore. So these are some student examples, and these are pieces that they entered into art shows and actually ended up getting an award, which is pretty exciting, and getting some recognition. And so the first one, similar to what I did in my pieces, they made a tree out of book pages, and then we used fabric for the background and squiggled a bunch of yarn for the look of extra branches and the impression of leaves. And then we used just fun butterfly cutouts from materials you get for scrapbooking and things like that, and just clustered them all together, and it has a really fun look of all the butterflies just ascending. And what was great was the student is working on it didn't even necessarily have to have the butterflies all going the same way. They're all over the place, but that's okay because that's how it looked when they were flying. So it had a really neat effect. And then I love the mermaid. Of course, I'm a big fan of mermaids. And so instead of drawing it again, they just cut out a cool vintage photo and then painted around it and used a mix of stickers and scrapbooking supplies and jewelry to give a really unique expression. And there's even a big flat sand dollar behind the mermaid, so when you see it in person, it's popping off the page, which was really fun. And then for the tree, it was painted, and they just used butterfly and flower-shaped buttons to add a three-dimensional element to it. And so that's one of the best things about teaching, is just seeing all the interesting things people come up with. And I love sharing the type of art that I like to do and seeing the different interpretations that other people might have. So something else that we've done a lot of is collaging both with fabric and paper. And so for the bird, similar idea as earlier with the dragon, where we just covered watercolor paper in all different colors and let them blend and mix together however we wanted, and then cut out and layered the different colors over a background drawn with marker. And this is something that I helped them outline, and then they were able to fill it in. And that's a lot of what I focus on with the students as well, is it's okay to get help as you're learning. There's a lot of famous artists, even though assistants, that help finish their paintings. So that's one of the things I focus on with them. It's okay to get help, and it's still your art and your design, and you don't have to feel weird about getting help with certain things. So a lot of layering paper and palette knife painting and drawing over a collage background. And so as simple line drawing over it, like with the dog in the center, because there's all that texture and interest in the background, it really still looks finished and makes it come alive. A lot of what I think about too is what kind of art materials are more accessible to those that maybe have trouble with hand-eye coordination or dexterity or have trouble sensing pressure with their hands. And so a lot of times using grips on paintbrushes helps a lot, or using paint markers instead of a brush to have a little more control, and using paint markers that just have the paint already in them, as opposed to, I guess, like the pasta markers where you have to push them up and down, because that sometimes can be a disaster depending on the person. So just thinking of little things like that helps a lot, and doing a lot of using stickers and stamps and stencils, and as I mentioned before, using a palette knife maybe instead of a regular brush. So even, I feel like with everyone with their own creativity, sometimes when you're trying to do art for the first time or just starting out, it takes trying a bunch of different materials to see what works for you. And everyone is going to be a little bit different. And so I have in my own life really found creativity and creating art an important form of self-expression and communication, and that's why I love being able to share it with everyone else. And I truly believe that everyone can be an artist. It's not this special title that you have to earn. Really, everyone has the ability to create something that can touch another person or excite another person. And it's just such a fun process and relaxing, and just really makes life worth living. I feel, express yourself creatively. And so I really enjoy bringing that to my students. And I love the ability to just be able to help people reach their untapped potential and bring that out. And I also brought some examples of different mixed media art that I do. I also enjoy sewing, so I enjoy making art dolls. And I brought some smaller examples of my upcycled bags, and I also brought some examples of my art prints that show images of my original art that I've worked on. And I want to thank everyone for coming, and feel free to come look closer up at everything. And definitely if you have any questions too, let me know.
Say, I have a friend who I've been trying to get them to do art, and they keep saying, oh, I can't do that, I'm not an artist, I'm not creative. How do you get that initial person engaged? Any tips?
Yeah, I think what I would say is that it's just for fun. It's about the process. You don't have to worry about even liking what you make. I always tell them, like, there's no pressure. You can just go have fun and do the activity, and if you want to throw it in the garbage when you're done, like, it's okay. I think people just get really caught up in that they have to have a certain end result for it to be worth it, but it's just for fun, like anything else, yeah.
Sometimes there's a fear factor there.
That's definitely. And that's why even with our art shop classes, they're open to everyone, so even though it's mostly adults with disabilities and people that get recommended to us from community mental health, we've had just people that are free during the day and want to take an art class join us that don't have disabilities, because they just like that it's low pressure, it's less structured, and so it's just kind of come and have fun, so that appeals to them. So I think focusing on, just having fun.
Have you ever by any chance had a mixture of children and adults? Because kids just do their thing,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I think it might inspire some adults to be less concerned.
And we have sometimes, like, it depends on the kid. It typically has to be a really confident kid that wants to be in a class with adults, but we have had, especially in the summer when they're free, kids come, and it is kind of cool because they just do it and don't worry about it. Yeah. And everyone loves what they make. Like, it doesn't matter what it looks like. Everyone's so happy at that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I definitely like having different age groups
happened to get into this with wanting to work with people with disabilities and art? How did that, and you probably talked about it before we got here.
Oh no, it was actually unexpected. It's funny. I went to school for art and interior design. So I add like a practical component.
Yeah.
But I found out when I started working in interior design that's mostly sales, and I'm not good at that. So that was interesting. So I tried it, and I'm like, ooh, this isn't gonna work. And shortly thereafter, I was part of the Midland Artists Guild, and I got an email that a new program was looking for art teachers, and so I figured, okay, I'll try it out and see. And I didn't have any teaching experience at that time at all, but I found out I really enjoy it.
What kind of subjects inspire you? Like, what kind of things do you like to paint and
Oh,
make?
you know what? I love anything with people and animals. That's really fun for me, and I like kind of a little bit of surrealism mixed in. Like with my art, I like to do a mix of realism and kind of fantasy and things that you couldn't see in real life and merge them together. So that's something I find really exciting.
So I had never heard of the term situational mutism.
Okay, me neither. So as an adult, I'm
And
like, wait,
you
that's-
said that, and it was like something clicked, and I'm like, yes, I know exactly what that experience is. I remember as a kid experiencing that, and I find it really inspiring that you were able to take that experience that is something that you were able to grow out of, and then use that to help people who aren't able to overcome that, and use that to express themselves. And that just like something just clicked in me when you said that phrase. I was like, I understand that, it makes sense, and I really appreciate the connection that's there.
Yeah, thank
And you bring that to other
It is
people.
interesting because no one else really knew either, because it's one of those things that I was just like talking all the time when I was at home around good friends. So like my parents like didn't think it was. They were like, oh, you talk a lot, you know. But when I was around people, I didn't know that well. It was a completely different story, of course.
Is
Yeah.
situational what? What is it?
Situational mutism, which is something I just learned is the name for it, but I had really severe social anxiety in school and around people I didn't know well, and so it's when sometimes you get so stressed out, someone could look right at you and ask you a question and nothing comes out, which is not convenient.
You're locked.
But yeah. And so teaching, I said earlier, really helped with that as well, because since I was excited about art, I could talk about art all day. It's something I'm very interested in, so that wasn't as stressful. And then I just got more used to sharing and more used to talking to new people that I was less familiar with, and now it doesn't really bother me as much. Yeah.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Here's in like a thought. Like in 2020, did you find like when you came back to like society, maybe like that situational mutism kind of like came back, or like because you hadn't like practiced in a
You know what,
while?
luckily for me it didn't, but I do know people that had a really hard time adjusting once that was done. Yeah, but I think it's because I was still kind of doing, we did a lot of virtual classes and things like that to keep things going at the time, so I was still kind of involved. Yeah, I found that I would not like working from home actually. I always wondered if I liked that. I was ready to get back to people. I was done. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Allise, so much for
Thank
sharing.
you.
Thank you, everyone, for your wonderful questions. And feel free to keep asking and check out Allise's work.